This case starts with a simple question, but quickly spirals into something much deeper. A 21-year-old defendant, a serious drug charge, and a judge who is not here to play games. What we're about to witness isn't just a routine courtroom hearing. It's a moment where honesty, accountability, and consequences collide head-on. The defendant is facing a second-degree felony tied to meth possession, which could mean up to 20 years behind bars. But instead of immediate prison time, there's an opportunity on the table: deferred adjudication, a legal lifeline that could keep her out of prison if she follows the rules. But here's the twist: this entire outcome hinges on one thing: truth. And as you'll see, the judge begins to sense something isn't adding up. There are inconsistencies, deflections, and what looks like a dangerous attempt to downplay serious drug use. Add to that a questionable relationship, a young child with medical needs, and a past that's starting to unravel in real time, and you've got a courtroom moment that's about to get intense. So the question is this a young woman trying to turn her life around, or someone still hiding the truth when it matters most?
I asked you, how often were you using meth? And you said, I don't use meth. I haven't used meth. That's what you said. And you're playing games with me, and I don't appreciate that. Tattoo on your neck about?
Dollar sign.
Why do you have a dollar sign on your neck? It's calling 2023 CR 3464, State of Texas versus Layla Ray Tanton. Tanton, I'm showing you what's entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication or Community Supervision. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it, and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand in count 2 you're charged with the offense of possession of a controlled substance? Penalty group 1, 4 grams to 200 grams. That's a second-degree felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that the court would grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty, sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
You outside the plea bargaining agreement, the state is recommending that your deferred adjudication be for a term of 5 years. There'll be a TAP evaluation, 120 hours of community service restitution, and an evaluation for felony drug court. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to count 2, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Contest.
State, any evidence?
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 1 and the attachments.
Any objections?
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, after reviewing State's Exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. Court will defer finding you guilty.
Let's pause here, because this is a critical legal moment that can easily be misunderstood. The judge has just found that there is enough evidence to support a guilty finding, but instead of immediately convicting and sentencing, the court is choosing deferred adjudication. That's huge. This essentially means the defendant is being given a second chance. If she successfully completes all conditions, no violations, no failed drug tests, full compliance, the case could ultimately be dismissed without a formal conviction on her record. But here's the catch: if she messes up even once, the judge can revoke that deal and sentence her to the full range, up to 20 years in prison. So this isn't leniency without risk, it's conditional mercy. And everything from this point forward depends on her honesty, her discipline, and her willingness to take responsibility. Now ask yourself, if you were in her position, would you be completely honest, even if it could hurt you in the moment?
You've applied for deferred adjudication. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, we would just ask that the court proceed with the deferred adjudication. My client is deeply remorseful of what she's done, her actions, Judge, and she would ask this court to follow the agreement that has been in place, Your Honor.
All right. How old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any children?
I have a daughter.
How old?
She'll be 4 November 6th.
And where is she?
She is with my mother in Houston.
Is Child Protective Services involved?
No, ma'am, I have full custody, no CPS cases.
Well, did you give up your rights to your mom?
No, I did temporary guardianship. My daughter has.
I'm sorry, could you?
I said I gave temporary guardianship. My daughter.
All right, everyone, please whisper.
My
Yes.
daughter has juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, so she gets the best medical care over in Houston. My mom works at the hospital, so.
How far did you go in school?
I went all the way into the My junior year, and I did cosmetology school and completed all my hours.
Okay. So when's the last time you had employment?
I worked at Golden Chick. I would say it was March. It was March through April.
And what does your mom do at the hospital?
My mom is head coordinator of San Jack Methodist.
And do you have any other siblings?
Yes, I have a brother and a sister. A
All
younger
right.
brother.
And what does your brother and sister do?
My brother is a barber. He's in barber school. And my sister is going to be graduating high school in about a year and a half.
Okay. And who is this Michael Martin to you?
It's my ex-fiance.
What is that ex-fiance since this happened? Before you were arrested, how often were you doing meth?
I wasn't one.
This is where things start to shift, and you can feel the judge's tone changing. Up until now, this has been fairly procedural, but the moment the defendant denies meth use, despite what appears to be evidence suggesting otherwise, the judge becomes skeptical. And not just casually skeptical, strategically skeptical. Judges hear hundreds of cases like this. They know the patterns. They recognize when someone is minimizing their behavior or trying to dodge accountability. And here the judge is connecting the dots: the type of charge, the circumstances in the police report, and the lifestyle choices being described. This isn't just about drug use anymore, it's about credibility. Because in a case like this, credibility can determine everything: the conditions of release, the level of supervision, even whether the court believes rehabilitation is possible. So now the real question becomes, is the defendant protecting herself or digging a deeper hole?
Okay, I find that hard to believe. I don't think you're just doing marijuana. I think there's more to it. And let me just tell you why I say that. I say that because I've read the police report. So I think it's more than marijuana. And I'm going to tell you something right now. One, I'm inclined to go along with this deferred adjudication. If you tell me you don't have a meth problem, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you out into the world. I'm going to make a notation that you said you didn't have a meth problem. And you know what's going to end up happening? If you go out into that world and you're going to be drug tested, and when you're drug tested, you test positive for meth, I'm not going to want to hear that, oh, I have a meth problem, because I'm asking you right now to be honest with me so I can set conditions so that perhaps you can get your life together. Perhaps you can be in your daughter's life, because right now, the only thing you're doing is hanging around with a fiance who has parole violations. Did you know he had a criminal past?
I did, ma'am.
And you still thought, let me get with this guy who has a criminal past. I have a 4-year-old daughter who has medical needs, but eventually, because this guy is my fiance, this is the guy who I think would be great to be in her life. A person who's only doing marijuana doesn't believe that. Someone who's doing meth and other things believes that, because you're just trying to get your next fix. And if Michael Martin has parole and has been to, which if he is on parole, that means that he's been to prison. And if you think somebody who's been to prison with the charges that they have in this police report that he's on parole for, if you think that's a good person to be in your daughter's life, that tells me you're doing more than marijuana. So this is the last time I'm going to ask you, and we can pretend like this is the first time I'm asking you, if that will help you be honest with the court. How often are you using meth?
I stopped using meth. I did that for my daughter and because I was going to lose my family.
So when did you start using meth?
Started whenever I got with my fiance.
So why are you before the court pretending like you don't do meth and you've never done meth?
I'm not pretending like I haven't done it. I just
now you're playing semantics with me, and I don't appreciate that, because I clearly asked you how often you were using meth. I know you're not using meth today because you're in court, and the deputies would not have brought you over with the items to do meth in the box. I asked you how often were you using meth, and you said, I don't use meth. I haven't used meth. That's what you said. And you're playing games.
This right here is the turning point of the entire hearing. The judge is no longer asking questions. She's confronting contradictions. And notice how precise she is. She repeats the defendant's earlier statement, points out the inconsistency, and calls it what it is: semantics. That's a legal way of saying you're playing with words instead of telling the truth. And in a courtroom, that's dangerous, because the judge is making it very clear she already knows the truth from the police report. This isn't an investigation anymore, it's a test of honesty. And when the defendant initially denied using meth, only to later admit she had used it, it damages her credibility in a major way. But here's the deeper layer. The judge isn't just concerned about the drug use, she's looking at the bigger picture, associations, decision-making, and the impact on a child who depends on her. So let me ask you, do you think the judge is being too harsh here? Or is this exactly the kind of accountability needed in a situation like this?
With me, and I don't appreciate that. I already knew you used meth because that's in the police report. Nobody is driving around with this much meth in the car unless you're using it or unless you're selling it. And obviously there was an issue with you because I don't know why people are driving around San Antonio smoking a blunt in the car and you think the police are not going to pull you over. All right. Is there anything else?
No, completely.
This is what the court is going to do. The court is going to sentence you to 6 years deferred adjudication. We're going to do a TAP evaluation in custody. Follow all recommendations of TAP. If they recommend inpatient treatment, she's going to inpatient treatment. Is felony drug court full?
Your Honor, they are classified evaluations. They will be accepting clients, however, they don't have funding yet, so the clients will be limited.
All right, we'll do a referral to felony drug court. If felony drug court accepts her, she can go there. There's going to be 120 hours of community service restitution. I'm going to want her in intensive parenting classes. Once she completes that, the community service hours will be deemed satisfied. There's to be no contact with Michael Martin.
Now we're seeing the full weight of the court's decision, and it's not just about punishment, it's about control, structure, and rehabilitation. The judge lays out a very strict set of conditions: 6 years of deferred adjudication, mandatory treatment programs, community service, parenting classes, and, most notably, no contact with her fiancé and not even unsupervised contact with her own child. That last condition hits hard. This tells you how serious the court views her current situation. The judge isn't just worried about drug use. She's concerned about the environment, the influences, and the safety of the child. In legal terms, this is about minimizing risk and forcing a complete lifestyle reset. And think about this. Every one of these conditions is a test. Fail one, and the entire deal could collapse. So here's something to consider. Do these strict conditions actually help someone rebuild their life, or do they set them up to fail under pressure?
There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, and that includes her own child. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular UAs. No, I'm sorry, not regular UAs. We're going to do the UA hotline. When you're released, where are you going to be staying? Who are you going to be staying with? Do you have a place to stay?
I have my own house here.
All right. There's going to be field visits 1 time per month until further notice. Proof of employment within 45 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. And she either needs to get her GED or complete some type of trade so you can get employment where you can take care of yourself and take care of your daughter. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So she needs some sort of trade school or either GED. And what I can tell you, because you have this charge, anything, any occupation that requires a license, you need to let them know about this, because for some, they're not going to give you a certificate or anything because you have this felony. Do you understand? So before you waste money, ask them if that's going to be a problem. All right, we can go off the record. What is this tattoo on your neck about?
It's $.
Why do you have a $sign on your neck?
I do my own tattoos, just practice.
But no, why would you put a dollar sign? It has to mean something.
Everybody likes money.
All right, and Vashawn, I forgot on her, we're gonna need a MIC evaluation and also also a gang evaluation. What is up with the weapon on your tattooed on your arm
Did it myself.
and the snake?
I didn't do this thing.
All right, what is that about?
My cousin passed away in a car accident that we were both in, and her last name was Rose, so I did Rose.
All right, and what is the other name underneath your arm?
I'm on my daughter.
Okay. All right, yes.
Judge, she did have a UCW handgun from the same incident date in County Court 9. So she got a JSAT on that, but I can email those prosecutors to
Destroy the weapon?
Yes.
All right. Now, let me just tell you, your 4-year-old daughter, she can't go out into the world and make her own choices, right? That's why she's living with your mom. She doesn't have employment. She can't take care of herself. And usually children don't make great decisions, especially at that age, because they want what they want. If you give them candy, guess what? They want candy all the time, right? So your 4-year-old is depending on you to make good decisions, your mom to make good decisions, and you're not. I don't know what you were thinking that you would think it would be okay to bring a fiance in your daughter's life who's been to prison, obviously is not rehabilitated because you all are driving around smoking blunts in a car and he has a parole warrant. You need to either make a decision that you're going to be a good influence and a good parent to your 4-year-old, or either 100% get out of her life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Governor, I just want to confirm if she resides here in Bear County or.
Oh, she's going to be here in Bear County. She will not be in Houston.
This case is a powerful example of how the justice system balances accountability with opportunity. On one hand, the defendant was facing a serious felony charge that could have resulted in decades behind bars. On the other, the court chose to offer deferred adjudication, a second chance, but with strict, life-altering conditions. What made this case stand out wasn't just the charge, it was the courtroom dynamic. The judge's focus on honesty, the defendant's initial inconsistencies, and the emphasis on protecting a vulnerable child all played a role in shaping the outcome. In the end, this wasn't just about punishment, it was about forcing a turning point. The real outcome of this case, however, won't be decided today. It will be determined by what the defendant does next. Will she follow through, stay clean, and rebuild her life? Or will she violate the court's trust and face the full consequences? Now we want to hear from you. Do you think the judge made the right call? Was this a fair balance between compassion and accountability? If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.
Okay. All right. Thank you.